There's a lot of relationship conflict in her life. And this is right after that, and she couldn't see the kids, her world was falling apart because she just got done being told by her daughter that she'll never see her grandkids ever again. And this was just so devastating to Maggie. It's just, her daughter's just the worst. She's been diagnosed with, this is 7/2014, so this is the last one. Diagnosed with major depressive disorder and generalized anxiety disorder. So that's what she has. But see, here's what they're saying. I want this. It's a lot to go through here. I'll go ahead and read it. The question we're not clearly probing about her memory function. She seemed to be able to provide more detail. She remains uncertain as to whether her memory has declined. See, that comes up again. She remains uncertain as to whether her memory has declined, though she perceives that she has memory difficulties regardless of her mood. She articulated that her daughter has told her that she is more forgetful. See, she keeps doing it. That's what Tammy keeps doing, because she wants to make Maggie think that she needs her, and to convince Maggie that, yep, you really better have me. So she's currently living with her significant other, Ricky, in Maple Plains. That was those stickers that I showed you, the return address. So she does pretty good. Oh, here. Recently, since she's listening, she has had a reconciliation with her daughter who was estranged. Okay, there was no reconciliation. It was where Maggie moved back in, hoping that she would be able to get this thing fixed again. And that was the beginning of the end of any happiness for Maggie ever again, when she moved back in with her daughter. Let's see. She's not had suicidal thoughts, continues to smoke marijuana. Ms. Banks and her boyfriend had a long-term relationship. She would like to be married. She perceives it as a safe and supportive relationship. Maintains with contact with 3 of her children and 1 sister, not Donna. Her parents abused alcohol, and she was moved from the home, abuse and neglect. But this is something about whether she has dementia or not. Her ability seems better when questions were not closed and obviously probing for memory. At times, the severity of impairments did not particularly appear to match her general interactions. There are concerns that non-organic factors may have contributed to performances during this evaluation. And I think what they're trying to say, non-organic, means some kind of outside influence. Like, I don't know, a daughter who is refusing to allow her to see her grandkids, that kind of stuff. That's causing her to be this, the anxiety and the depression, because she doesn't want to talk about her daughter. She brings her up a couple of times. She says, my daughter says that I have a bad memory. So she does bring it up, but she doesn't say that my daughter is abusing me, anything like that, So scores generally similar to... So the scores were generally similar, meaning she isn't getting worse. Reading level is consistent with a 3rd grade reading level. So that's the psycho... And... that level of performance is actually stronger than seen in normative samples of individuals with diagnosed dementia. That's what I'm trying to say. They didn't know that she had fetal alcohol syndrome. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. And they're saying it doesn't look, it's similar, but we don't want to say that it is. They show impaired, though do not show evidence for decline relative to prior performance. She wasn't getting worse. She was just as bad as she always was, which was bad. Possible declines. Okay, this is it. This is a complex and somewhat confusing case, because that's what they're saying, they can't figure it out. Currently reporting ongoing depression and anxiety, though her interactions were atypical of individuals with severe depression and anxiety. Right, because her interactions, she's happy and loving, but then it's her daughter that's causing it. So that's what she goes back to. It's atypical of individuals with dementia. Her level of insight, remember, unusual for individuals demonstrating impairments. typically individuals becoming less aware of their own memory impairments when they become impaired at that level. See, so here she is being aware of what's going on, and they're saying, well, that's doesn't make sense. So this whole thing, the whole thing shows that her daughter is abusing and manipulating and trying to pull the crap on her. That's all it is. Over here, these are the list of the meds that she was on. She was doing twice the limit that she was supposed to on a lot of those, which is what caused her to gain almost a whole nother person in weight. She weighed 127.5 pounds and got up to 200 pounds within 3 years. And immediately she started gaining weight, and she said that she hated herself, the way that she looked because of it, the way that she felt. It was fogging up her brain. I think I might have skipped over something back here. Let me show you this here. When she filed this last one, this last restraining order as Tammy on behalf of Maggie was filed February 6th, right? 3 days after she received this email from the lawyer that pretty much threatened her and stated down here, since the restraining order against Mr. Gellerman has expired, blah, blah, blah. And she said, oh, really? You're trying to threaten me that I better start taking Diana on rides, and it doesn't make any sense for her to have a restraining order on her because now Mr. Gellerman doesn't, so take the one off of Diana. And she said, no, I'll go ahead and put a restraining order on him. So that's what she did. It wasn't because of anything that I did to Maggie. It's because we sent a lawyer sent a letter to her threatening her. And this is that's all lawyer stuff down underneath. So I almost missed that. Yeah, so this last one was filed 3 days after she got that letter. Isn't that funny? Isn't that a weird coincidence? But the judges don't care about that either. Let me take another pause. Okay, yeah, moving on. We got over here the healthcare workers. This is a list of the healthcare workers. Oh, I shouldn't put all those. I just want to publicize all those phone numbers, but they're really old. These are some pictures of Maggie. Yeah. This was the last report that I went down to Lake City and about the intentional infliction of emotional distress. And this was a card that I found when I was going through some stuff that was in storage. This was after all this stuff. I was going through some storage stuff and I found this. This is who Maggie is. I don't have any kids, so she got me a Father's Day card from the dog. Who's a good dad? You are. Yes, you are. Look at that, what she wrote. And then what she wrote. P.S. Me and Mom love you so much. We have the best man. This is who Maggie is. Love always, Sammy and Mom. June 17th of 2012. So 2012 is right around that timeline, right after all this stuff happened. It was right after we moved in together. Or I moved her in with me is what I should say, but yeah. So there's all this stuff, and these nurses and stuff. When I rescued Maggie, I had to drive out to get her meds, and it was I rescued her on February 6th, and I drove out there the next Sunday. It was Super Bowl Sunday that year. It was Super Bowl Sunday when I came and drove Maggie out to get the meds, and she'd met us in the parking lot of a gas station to get Maggie her meds. And over here we have all the different police reports that support me. That Banks stated she didn't want to live there. She wanted to move. Harris stated Banks had been with her since she found a small amount of marijuana in her apartment, called the police. Tammy called the police on Maggie for marijuana. Tried to get Maggie arrested. And she called the landlord and got her kicked out of her apartment. So here Maggie is like 66 years old. I forget exactly. Whatever. Fetal alcohol syndrome. Kicked out of her apartment, out on the streets, wondering if she's going to get arrested by the police. This is what Tammy puts on her mother. This is who Tammy is. And I got phone records back there that support that proved that, oh, that's a lie, that it was a rescue mission. Here's a revocation of power of attorney, but that Maggie was trying to get revocation from Tammy to get that removed because she didn't want it. These are messages that Tammy left on Maggie's phone when I rescued her. Just look at this bottom line here. She ends this sentence with, even someone who doesn't have a smart brain would be able to see the difference in numbers. She's trying to make the case that, hey, look, it's me and it's everybody in this family and it's against Rick. So it's all these people versus just one person. And so you got to see that the power in numbers. This is how she treats her mother. She says, you need to start acting like an adult if you want to be treated like one. That's how she treats her mother, like a petulant child. That's how Tammy treats her mother. This was kidnapping by Donna. These are a couple of officers that I tried to refile. I tried to add more information, but they didn't care. They said, "Oh, well, you're not adding any new information." I said, "Well, no, I'm just showing you how you failed the first time." But that's a whole other thing. These, I might be getting out of order. These in this timeline here, going along this way, these are two different wellness reports that Tammy's supposed to fill out, an annual wellness report. And these happened during the timeline, before and during the timeline where Maggie sent me all these letters, where Tammy says that here Margaret has voiced that she wants to continue with current guardianship, family in agreement. And this is when Maggie's saying things like, I wish I was dead because I can't see you. Over here is where she says, I have personally seen the ward 300 plus times. 312 times would be 6 days a week. You would have to see her 6 days a week. And during most of that timeline, I was coming out and seeing Maggie every other weekend. So Tammy would have had to have come out 12 days in a row, and then I would have seen Maggie for 2 days. And then she'd have to come in 12 days in a row and never miss a single day, because she said 300 plus. 300 plus. 312 would be, 312? I forget. Would be 12 days in a row, and then me 2 days, and then her 12 days in a row. So, and she never came over. She sent Emma over with the toilet paper, because better for Emma to go than her. She doesn't even come over and visit her after a trip to Hawaii to explain to her mom, hey, here's what we did in Hawaii. It was really great. It was fun. We did all these things. No. Doesn't even come see her. Won't even bring her toilet paper. That's the relationship Tammy has with her mother. Hold on a second.